So we are going to, you take the two numbers, 2 and 18, you're going to multiply them, and then you take the square root and you get 6. So ultimately what that means is that a shape that has 2 and 18 as their like side lengths are going to have the same area as a square that's a 6 by 6. Okay? So the geometric mean of 3 and 20. Take the square root of 3 times 20. Square root of 60. And we talked about this yesterday. If you weren't here, you've talked about it in the past in your math classes. Simplifying radicals. So one way that I taught you how to solve it is, 60 divided by x. This is like super bright, so y'all can't really see it. 60. Okay, I typed in 60 and I clicked divided by. Nope. Divided by. And then next to the green button is the variable button. So x. And then you click second graph. And then you look on your blue side first, that blue column, and you're like, okay, are there any perfect squares? And I don't see any. And I scroll down a little bit, still don't see any. Okay, so now I'm going to look at the black side at 4 and 9, see if it's across from any whole numbers, which this is 4 and 15. So the square root of 4 and the square root of 15. Okay? And that's the two numbers that split it. Yeah, largest, which in this case the largest is 4. Because no perfect squares go into 15. So you're done.
Why do you want to do the largest perfect square? It makes it easy. So
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to pause this real quick. And this is what we're going to do. Okay, so what we're going to do is set up a proportion and solve to figure out what x is. And the way that you're going to do that is look at your small triangle. So no matter what color it is, your small triangle, you have the short leg and you're looking for the long leg. So like I'm going to write this short leg over long leg, and I'm going to do a little arrow. And then I want the short leg over the long leg for my small triangle, and my short leg over the long leg for my medium-sized triangle. So all we're doing right now is we're just setting up a proportion. This is no different. Reagan, move over here. Move. No, stop. And like I was afraid y'all would easily be able to do this and it would not be confusing to y'all. But because those triangles are stuck together, it kind of becomes confusing. So this short leg over is 2 for the small triangle, and the long leg is x for the small triangle. The short leg is x for the medium-sized triangle, and the long leg is 50 for the medium-sized triangle. Okay? So watch, that's the point of taking the square roots yesterday. That's why we spent all day doing that. So cross multiply, x times x is x squared. 2 times 50 is 100.
Oh, and then the opposite of a square
is it's the square root, yeah. So x equals 10. So it's really not that crazy.
Oh, but it's gonna get crazy.
I mean, it'll get crazier than this. Same thing. Short leg over long leg. Oh, not an equal sign. Arrow. So 8 over x for the short leg over long leg for the yellow, or for the small triangle. X over 10. And you're going to cross multiply. Get x squared equals 80. And then you're going to take the square root of both. 80 is one of those that you got to figure it out. So the nice thing about 80 is right there, it pops up. It's right there. Just look. 2. So.
So then how do you put that into actual
Short leg over long leg. I mean, you're going to be using your small triangle and your large triangle. Or not small and large, small and medium. And then you're going to have like short leg over long leg. But this one's going to end up looking different. So your 12s are in there twice because it's the short leg for one triangle, the long leg for the other triangle. And so when you cross multiply, you get 8x equals 144. So notice what we are not doing here. Not taking that square root, right? So, right, you just divide 144 divided by 8, and it's 18. Yeah. So x equals 18. Not too crazy. And yeah, and this is the same idea. You're going to end up with a decimal here, but x over 5. Okay, and then how does, fill in the other side. It's not x, it is x over 5, yeah. So fill in the other side and make sure that you can match that up real quick. So did you set it up like this? So, and then cross multiply 12x, 25 divided by 12. So it's going to end up being like 2.1. But, I mean, you could also just leave it as 25 over 12 because that is the more accurate answer. Anytime you're given a choice of like simplified fraction or a decimal, this is the least accurate. So I would choose to answer it like that. Okay, we're going to go down here, and this is going to look a little crazy, but I'm going to give you some time to do this. Okay, so these ask for all different things, like this piece here, this piece here, this piece here, different things that we've seen before. So still doing the same type of things. So like SL and LL, and SL and LL, that's what we did before, but this one uses the small triangle and the big triangle. And that's how it gets set up based on these. And then same idea here. Hypotenuse over short leg. Hypotenuse over short leg, but it uses the big triangle and the medium triangle. So I'm just showing you examples of how it can be placed. But it always has to, you've got to pick two of them, the hypotenuse, the long leg, or the short leg. 2 of the 3. And then it has to be like the same. Hypotenuse over short leg has to equal hypotenuse of short leg. You pick 2 triangles and you compare them, set it into a proportion. The hard part about this is it's not cut and dry. Like, you have to be able to look at it and figure out, based on what I have, what can I use? So it really takes some critical thinking to be able to figure this out. We're going to solve for y first. My reasoning for solving for y, I'll tell you, those 4 problems that we just did, we were solving for y, like this type of problem. This is just like the ones on the top of this page. So that's why I want to do that one first, because that's the easiest one. So let's do it. So solving for y, you're going to have short leg over long leg. Bless you. So it's going to be yellow over yellow, or mine's the small one over the small, medium over the medium. All right. And so 6 over 8 and 8 over y. But you're not going to round. So it's going to be in simplified fraction. Like I talked about earlier up here, we're going to do that for this one. When did I say that? No fractions in geometry. I said no mixed numbers. Because you won't, like, moving forward in math. Okay, so we're going to simplify that fraction. If you've forgotten how to simplify the fraction, you're going to click green and then the number next to it. And then you're going to type in 64 over 6. And that's 32 over 3. So there's like a lot of different ways to get this fraction. I think the easiest one is just alpha x. Okay. Now I look at this and I'm like, I can figure this out without doing the x, without doing like a crazy proportion. Does anyone know how I could figure out this? Yes, Pythagorean theorem. I'm all for doing whatever's the easiest. I don't want to make math harder just to make it harder. Okay? So 6 squared plus 8 squared equals x squared. We haven't done this in a little bit, but a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So that ends up adding up to 100, because 36 plus 64 is 100. Ooh, that should be squared. And then you take the square root of both sides, and 10 is going to be x. All right, so we have x equals 10. Yay. Here's the deal. you look at this and you're like, oh, I could do Pythagorean theorem for z with this is 10 and this is, oh gosh, what is that? That's ugly. And so, in my opinion, it's easier to set up a proportion and solve using these numbers over here, the 6, 8, and the 10, than having to use this 6 plus 32 over 3. So let's set up a proportion, and let's use, like, what is this? This is the short leg, and this is the hypotenuse. So let's use short leg over hypotenuse. So we're going to do that for the orange triangle, because z is the hypotenuse. So the orange is, because, and notice the reason I can do this is because the yellow triangle, or my small triangle, we have all 3 sides and they're all even, like, beautiful numbers. They're no crazy fractions. So I'm going to use the short leg and the hypotenuse for my orange, and then for my yellow, I'm going to also use the smallest triangle, the short leg over the hypotenuse. My reasoning for using these is because I want to make this as easy as possible on myself. So 8 over z, hang on. 8 over z, and then 6 over 10. Z is 40 over 3. So this is easier than putting it into like Pythagorean theorem and having to figure all that out.